Okay. Let's see if we're live. I'm doing this a little bit differently this time. So hopefully you can hear me. You can't really see me. Here I am. Oh my God. So the shot is now aimed at the floor, and there's a good reason for that. The reason being, I really wasn't happy with the sound I dialed in yesterday, although I spent quite some time doing it. So I'm going to do a redo today, and I'm going to take you with me, and you're going to see, well, at least how I go about tweaking my tone, and hopefully it's going to be a bit more interesting than previous videos I've done like this, because we now have superior audio quality, hopefully with the sound going directly into the camera. So let me just see if everything works here. I'm just gonna do a little quick one here. So yeah, so what we have here, just briefly, is the Mesa Boogie Mark V amp, and I'm using currently the channel 3, the high gain channel. And I've set it to Mark IV, which is, I think, the one John Petrucci made famous. It's... yeah, I just have to check, because I'm broadcasting for the first time from streaming software, so I'm not even sure if anybody can see this. Is there anybody out there? Could you give me a shout if you can see this? Let me see. I'm gonna go through an incognito video and just check if I'm broadcasting. It says live here. Is there anybody out there? Could you give me a shout if you can see this? Well, it seems to work. Awesome. Okay, so I'm back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from this the high gain channel Mark IV mode on my Mesa Boogie Mark V amp, and right now there are no effects. There's not even the EQ section is engaged. Cool. We got Krispy Kreme here. We got jump. Awesome. So we got this very clean sound to start with, or at least dry sound, I should say, not clean. And I think it's a pretty decent rhythm sound. I could probably... This would probably work well, I think, for some, I don't know, medium gain rhythm work. Especially if you overdubbed some of the guitars. So I'm going to take this starting sound, and I'm going to use my, you can't see it very well here, but my Solar guitar with high gain Solar Duncan pickups. And I'm going to see if I can turn this into a lead guitar sound. That's basically the plan. So the first thing I want to do is kind of make sure the sound I've got on the amp feels okay. And I've already established that it feels pretty cool for rhythm, but how does it feel for lead? Okay, so to my ears, this is a pretty good basic sound. It doesn't have any, like, you know, I don't know what you would call it, bells and whistles. I mean, it doesn't have some... I mean, it does have some upper, like, some high register going, but it's not super, you know, it's not sparkling, and it's not your super wide, kind of low mid-range sound either. It's kind of focused and would probably work decently in a mix. And this is okay, this is a good starting point. Sometimes I like to dial in a really fat sound. That's what I went for yesterday, but like I said, I wasn't happy with the end result. So Jaden, how decide what pedal order for your chain? That's a good question. That comes with experimentation. Sometimes, you know, especially some of these pedals are in the amp loop. So the digital delay and the big sky here, the reverb, they are actually in the amp loop, and that makes a huge difference. Usually you want these time-based effects to be in the loop, because it doesn't sound good if you distort your reverb or your delay. Can you hear me all the time? Because it's a new setup. I can imagine maybe my spoken audio goes down and up a little bit. But then the order among distortion pedals, that's definitely a topic for experimentation. And where you put the compressor is also going to be a topic of experimentation. And that one is kind of important, I think, because whether you compress before, I mean, these two are compressors, especially the Wampler. The blue one is the one I use mostly for compression. The red one, I use it mostly for boosting. So if you have your compressor before the distortion pedal, that can have a major impact, because the level you feed your distortion with is going to determine the amount of gain you get. And since the compressor tends to even out the signal, you're going to get a much less kind of dynamic distortion sound, basically. So I prefer I have these compressors after the distortion pedals, but that's a topic out for you. Sometimes it can be helpful to have a compressor before the distortion pedal. You can get like more even soloing sound and stuff like that. Cool. Ian has both the Wampler Ego and the NS2. Awesome. What is the NS2? Oh, the noise suppressor too. Yes. Yes, without the noise suppressor. Oh, there's no noise. But you're going to notice when we turn on some pedals, we're going to get some noise. Okay. So we've established that this lead tone is, like I said, I think it's fairly focused. It doesn't have any bells and whistles to it. Maybe we can add a little bit of that through our pedals. And it's not overly low range, like low mids or even boomy or anything like that. But it's also not very liquid, right? It's kind of dry. It's almost more of your AC/DC sound rather than your high gain. And I like higher gain sounds. And you know, I'll have one day where I want to dial in like a Greg Howe style of sound, and the other day I want something, I don't know, something fluid, maybe a bit more Yngwie Malmsteen. Today I haven't decided. I just want something that inspires me. So we'll see what we can find. So what I do sometimes when I want a more organic type of sound is to be a little bit careful with the distortion pedals. So the white one is a full tone OCD distortion pedal, and the green one is a tube screamer. And I find that the most organic distortion is going to come from the amp, right? That's oftentimes why you buy an expensive tube amp with high gain, is because the distortion has very special characteristics, which is a little bit hard to replicate in a pedal form. So before you add lots of distortion on top of your amp sound, you might want to see just how far you can come with the amp. So I could just turn up the gain on the amp now. Let's try that. Okay, so you can hear now when I'm riffing. It sounds a bit more high gainish, and if I engage the EQ with the preset here, it's gonna sound very... There it is. There's my guitar. So that's high gain. That sounds okay for lead. Pretty nice, but I'd rather try to have like a low gain starting point. In general, the less distortion you can dial in, again, the more dynamic your sound is going to be. So as a first step, what I'm going to do is just try to see if I can boost the signal a little bit and if that can give me some good tones. So I'm gonna engage, I think the Dynacomp, which I use almost only as a booster. So what I'm gonna do is turn the sensitivity to 0 and the output to maximum. It's a little boost there. Didn't do that much. So if you turn up sensitivity and give it compression. That's okay, but that really didn't do anything for me. And in general, I find that this pedal works much better for single coil pickups and cleaner tones. So I'm gonna wait a little bit before even engaging that. And I'm gonna instead just use it maybe later on if I want like just a pure signal boost. Sometimes that can be useful, but it doesn't really give me any special characteristics to the sound. So let's try the other compressor pedal. Now this is a bit more interesting. This does give me a little bit of cream here. I usually use this pedal in a subtle way, and that's why you can't hear a big difference when I engage it. And I do that with the blend knob, so I have it set to 50%. You're only hearing 50% of the compression signal. This is a high gain amp. That's right, but I'm not using the high gain of the amp right now. I just use a high gain channel, and I have the gain set to pretty low. And that's a matter of personal preferences. I like to not... Here's the thing, if you have a really high gain on your amp, then you can't really do much more to add dynamics in your chain. So if the only way you can create juice and sustain is by maximizing the gain on the amp, then you're kind of stuck with those dynamics. So I find it more interesting to start with a lower gain setting and see if I can somehow find some other ways of creating juice while retaining the dynamics of the amp. So I could boost the compression quite a bit. I think this is a little bit better actually. If you think it sounds really bad and dry, that's because I haven't engaged any of the reverb or the delay yet. So if I do that, still very light settings here, but at least it's not quite as dry. Maybe you can hear that. So without reverb and delay, with it's a little less dry, but again, very subtle settings here. However, when tweaking a sound, I prefer to not engage reverb and delay quite yet. I will do that much later on, typically. Okay, so without the compression, the Wampler Ego compression, with it, that's okay, but in general, I think a good general rule is to never dialing in something extreme. I like to add small bits here and there that you start with a sound you think is cool, and then you add small bits here and there to try to make it sound amazing. I don't know if we're going to accomplish that today, but I just figure I'd take you with me. And when I do this, 50% of the time I fail, but you still get to hear kind of the thought process behind it. Now, I have to admit that for high gain sounds, a lot of times I end up engaging the tube screamer. So I'm going to hop on the tube screamer now and see what we can get. So this is nice, but it's bright, and the tube screamer actually has the overdrive engaged, which I'm a little bit careful with that. Sometimes it works, especially for clean sounds. If you start with a clean gain, clean channel and maybe add some overdrive from the pedal. But when you're using the tube screamer on a channel that's already distorted, the typical usage is to not touch the overdrive knob and instead play around with the level and tone knob. And that's what I'm going to do. Since I would like something more creamier, I'm going to turn the tone down quite a bit and boost the level. I'm going to try to add a little bit of overdrive and see if we can get more liquid juice out of it. Without it. So that did quite a difference, right? It's easier to play with the tube screamer engaged. I have some sustain here, and probably if I started adding some reverb and delay, it would sound a bit closer to like a sound that could work. That isn't too difficult to play, and that has some juice to it. Thanks for digging it, Ian, by the way. But it's still very far from a sound that would inspire me. I think this could work, you know, and when I say that it could work, I mean that it could be heard in a mix. After all, that's the most important thing. Not necessarily when I'm jamming with you guys, because sometimes I don't even use a backing track. I just play a cappella, and if that's the case, then the only thing that really matters is whether the sound inspires me. I don't really have to care about cutting through a mix, right? So it also depends on the purpose. But I'd say for a good 90% of the case, when you're dialing in a tone, you need it to work in a mix or in a live setting with your band or when playing with someone. But this isn't too boomy, it isn't too bassy, so it'd probably work in a mix. How much do all those tools cost, sir? Ooh, tricky question. So the Mesa Boogie amp is probably the most expensive one. I bought this one for like 15 years ago. I would guess you'd have to pay, I don't know, maybe $3,000. So it's an expensive amp. The pedals, I'd say on average around, I don't know, 150, 200 bucks maybe. That's the average. Some more expensive. The Big Sky is more expensive, and some of the older Boss pedals, stuff like that, I can imagine they're cheaper. That's around it. How about stacking your gain? Very good suggestion. Also using your volume on guitar to clean it up and turning it up to bananas. Good point there, Nick. We should definitely do that in this session. I think that's a very good idea. Because, as I was saying, I'm not completely happy with the Tube Screamer. Even though it worked, it wasn't really with desirable results. So I'm gonna try to the full tone OCD istället. Speaking Swedish here, instead. So the full tone OCD is very different from the Tube Screamer. It's often described as having more of like an amp-like distortion, and I agree with that. It has more dynamic distortion, and sometimes it does work anyway over like a high gain. Let's see. Now, what I want to do, I think that the sounds so far have been pretty thin. I'd like a bit more low end, and that isn't desirable for a mixing purpose, but for now, I could use some of that. So I'm going to use the low pass mode on the full tone OCD. Random guy. Hej Kristoffer, hur är läget? Okay, so. Oof, that's a little bit better now. Can you hear how much creamier this is? Now it still sounds kind of dry and boring. Again, I haven't engaged the reverb or the delay. Let's do it. So that's good, but I do feel that the notes are like a little bit like they're struggling to come out. So I do feel that the tone is okay. Cool, Ian, see you later. But I feel it's a little bit hard to play. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to throw in a compressor or a booster and see if that can kind of help me just get the notes out. So that helped a little bit. It might have ruined the tone a little bit, but now it's much easier to play. It's like, thanks to this booster pedal, it's like I got the sound up. It's like I increased the output of my pickups, basically. Like I installed some even higher gain pickups. It's a little bit harsh and not very warm, so I'm gonna disable this one. Actually, I'm gonna try a little lower setting. Yeah. So let's disable this one and try the Wampler. Now the Wampler has a tone knob, which is good. I'm gonna turn that down. I think this is nicer. It's getting somewhere. It's not perfect in any way, but yeah. Oh, that's an interesting pedal. You shouldn't need all those pedals for a mesa. So that's a very interesting point there. Do you need pedals for a mesa? You don't. It sounds awesome on its own, but it gives you flexibility. Now, you might not have been here from the beginning, but what I said was I could get lots of gain from the Mesa Boogie, and I use that sometimes. But I prefer to keep the gain down on the Mesa Boogie because that basically saves the dynamics. And what I'm doing now is alteration to the guitar sound. When I'm using overdrive or compression, I'm basically changing what I'm feeding into the amp. Okay. So it's not the amp's job to change my guitar. You know, the amp is doing a fantastic job. But what I'm doing is basically changing the characteristic of the sound of the guitar. And that is why you have pedals in front of the amp. Now, some amps take it on them to help you with that as well. So basically they have built-in boosters and stuff like that. And I can't say the Mesa Boogie has that, but it has a lot of cool tools. But I don't think it's the Mesa Boogie's job to help me alter the sound of my guitar. So you can more look at it as these are complements to the guitar. You know, if I had EMG high output pickups, maybe I wouldn't even need to try to boost the signal. But on the other hand, if I had those EMGs, I wouldn't have any dynamics left. So what I'm trying to do here is find a great balance between the sound feeding into the amp and the actual amp sound. I am so fucking we Todd did. What's that? So, I mean, this is interesting. I think it sounds pretty cool. So we could definitely do that, Tristan. I could turn off the compression, which acts as a booster now, and the distortion pedal. And we can compare that with the sound of high gain on the Mesa Boogie, which is awesome, but very different. Oh, I realized I've been playing with the EQ on all the time. Yeah. But anyhow, here you have it. So this is a great rhythm sound, right? So it's nice for lead, but it's not really what I'm going for, right? So what I'm going to do now is turn off the EQ section, which I had turned on by accident, which was a shame. But so here's the sound you're getting from the amp. Now I'm going to turn down the gain on the amp, and I'll keep on my tone journey with pedals here. There's a little bit of a boost there, and there you have some extra gain from the full tone OCD. And with the EQ engaged, sounds pretty good. So. It's a pretty nice sound, and it works decently nice for legato as well. Now with these pedals, what I did was let's see, I think it was with the compression. Yeah, so what I did here with the compression is interesting. I don't know if you can hear the difference. I'm gonna play without it, with it. So this does two things now. It boosts the signal. I have added quite a bit of volume, but it also adds a little bit of, I would say, like a low mid-range mojo compression, which helps me play. Okay, that's interesting. And I've turned the tone down to 0, and it just smoothens out the notes a little bit more. So with it, I can do... Oops, and I messed up. Without it. So it's not as loud, and it's not as creamy. And that's really what I was going for. So I think in terms of gain, this is a decent sound now. I would probably proceed to tweaking other things now. I could look at the reverb. I could, even more importantly, and I haven't even spoken about that. Let's see if I can show you this. Yeah, here it is. This is the Moore radar, and it's super important because you're hearing my sound through this little thing. And basically you're hearing a speaker simulation. So you're only hearing the preamp right now and all the pedals from the Mesa Boogie. And then I'm feeding that into this pedal, which gives you a speaker simulation. So half of the sound comes from this unit right now. So I could change one little setting there and it would sound totally different. And that's probably what I'm going to do. This is the Mark V. Yeah. Let's see what you guys are saying. And just tweak amp cranked up. Oh, wait, I didn't get that comment, sorry. Anyhow, just to illustrate that. So you could hear the difference there, right? So I changed the speaker model. Now, because this has such a major impact on the sound, I think it would make sense from a time management perspective for us to spend some time on that. So I'll just go through some different speakers. Most of them are just presets. Some of them I've tweaked along the years. I don't remember. So since this is a high gain sound, I think I'm gonna go upwards where all the 4x12s and 4x10s are. 59 bassline. That has a very distinct high end compared to the previous one. Back to the Bassman. It had a much more in your face, like a pushy sound. Let's try the next one. 1960 AG. I'm gonna keep on going. I don't know what magnatone is, sorry. We have a 4x12 1960 BT. That's pretty nice. This is a much more low-end, darker sound, which won't be as much in your face as the previous one. It's a huge difference, right? This one also has a bit of a volume. I think if I turn the volume up here, this could be a pretty cool amp for noodling, right? Or a cool speaker for noodling. It probably wouldn't be a good choice for cutting through, but it might be a very good choice for noodling. So let's try that. Power amp on to... So how do I... So output, can I boost the output? Okay, so let's compare. Yeah, this is pretty nice. I like this. This was probably my most important find from today. This cab is going to help me I think for recording these shorts where I only play guitar. This is a very kind of low-end, warm thing, which helps me connect the notes basically. I still think our basic tone is a little bit too much in your face. I think I dialed in the compressor too much. It's lost a bit of its organics. So let's. This is much better, but now I need some more push, but try to keep it organic. So just lowering the volume could help. Dennis, my best tips. We're in the middle of it. But welcome. So you want me to play B minor, G, D. There you have it. Tweed's old 50 cent amps just sag off, rectify too many cranks, distortion, and it's just old crank blue sound. Sounds fun. Mesa is an airplane cockpit from here. Cool. So I think we made some progress. I really like the speaker we found. Just sounds like the amp in a room kind of thing. And I want to remind you, you're not hearing an amp in the room because there's no microphone catching this amp. You're only hearing it through the speaker simulation of radar, of this pedal that hangs here. So I could do some gain stacking as you guys wanted me to do. I can try with both the Tube Screamer and the Full Tone OCD now. Nick is doing brain surgery. Okay, Nick. Keep doing brain surgery. I wonder if I could maybe I could fix the lighting a little bit here. I think that's better. So okay, I've added a second pedal now, and it starts to sound digital to me. This is interesting. I think if I recorded this, I would almost feel like, hey, is this a digital amp? And I I think what happens a lot of times when you have too much distortion, and it's so easy on a digital amp to dial in too much distortion. And that's what's happening now. I have two pedals, distortion pedals, plus the pedal distortion on the amp. It's just too much, and it sounds digital. This is okay. I mean, it's a sound, I guess. I'm using two distortion pedals now, and the Wampler Ego. I'm pretty sure I would get better results if I use just one pedal. So I'm gonna disable the OCD now and try to go only with the tube screamer. It's okay, but now this is better. I like this more. I would need a little bit more help in smoothing out the notes in the low mid range. You know, it sounds a little bit too much AC/DC and a little not enough Joe Satriani, if you see what you mean. If you see what I mean. Now, there are a lot of things that can help you with that. Sometimes it's the time-based effects that can help you with that. I'm going to see if I can add a second booster and see if that changes something. Yeah, that had a bit of a Satriani effect right there. So this worked, but it also screwed up the tone, I think. It sounds much flatter and boring. So no. That pedal, like I said in the beginning, it doesn't often not work well with high gain. So what I'm going to do... So that had an effect. So basically remove some of the attack of the Wampler pedal. Yeah, more bass. Yeah, that's a good one, IGR. I could try more bass on the amp, perhaps. That's too much. I mean, we haven't even touched upon the sliders on the sliders. Oh, you can't see them, but there are sliders. There, sliders on the Mesa Boogie amp, right? That's also an interesting option for tweaking. But I use preset now for EQ. I think maybe I'm not gonna screw up the sound too much because we had a decent sound. Instead, maybe I'm gonna look at the reverb and see if that can help us create some smoothness and like a bit more playability. How do I recreate the sound I like? That's a problem. you guys think this is too much distortion? Yeah, Real Illusion. I do use radar now simply because of the stream, right? It would be much more hard for me to speak with you guys and also have a real mic with this amp. And in general, I don't use real mics that often. I find, you know, I much rather record with only the preamp and then be able to change speakers in my digital audio software or in my DAW, right? DAW. Because that gives me so much more flexibility. And like I said, half of the sound is the speaker. So if I change the speaker simulation here, big difference, right? Okay, so Pure Arpan wants more reverb. No, the scallop boards are I've done 3 out of 4 myself. Okay, so it's good, but I would like a little bit more help in the low end again. So I'm wondering what I'm gonna do now. Maybe I could turn down the tone here and increase the volume. It's a shame you can't see me play. I'm probably going to try some other setup as well, but this is a bit better. It's a little bit flat, I think, a little bit too much distortion. So it's so hard to find that balance where you get all the overtones and all the help you need from the distortion, and when you have too much distortion. It's a very fine balance. Yeah, IGR, the radar is very good actually. It's a very cool unit there for speaker. It basically doing real-time speaker simulation. I don't record with it because, like I said, I prefer to have the option to change the speaker in the mix. Again, it's half of the tone. It gives you so much power to not have a speaker recorded, but instead add a speaker later on. So I prefer that. But for these sessions, you guys need to hear the speaker as well. Otherwise, it would sound like crap. So there's no other option than to do it in real time. Okay, so. Okay, so I think the amount of gain is good, but I still find it a little bit hard to play this sound. I would like to, again, get a little bit more help. So I think maybe we're going to look at reverb now. And I haven't experimented probably as much as I should have with the Strymon Big Sky, this one. The blue one. Let me see if you can... There we have it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try a little bit here. So maybe the plate reverb is likely to be able to help me out. I'm going to turn it up so you guys can just hear what's happening here. Okay, that's way too much, right? But I'm going to turn off the delay. So I'm going to skip the pre-delay. Because again, I would like this reverb to kind of help me with the notes and kind of disperse the notes immediately as I play them. It already worked, actually. Listen to this. I mean, it sounds like sounds like crap, but it's very playable. So let's turn down the mix and see what happens. I'm going to turn up the mix again so we can clearly hear the other parameters which I'm going to tweak. This is tone. Basically changes the overall character of the reverb. Then we have the low end. Actually, if your mix can afford it, I think reverb with some low end, that can really help you in terms of playability. Again, it sounds like crap here because the mix is really loud. Now it's better. The mix knob is way down. Pretty good. Let's keep on tweaking it. Again, I'm turning up the level so you guys can hear the parameters I'm tweaking. This is size. This is interesting. So now it's a small plate, big. I'm gonna try the small one. I think I can turn up the levels of the reverb. Oh, this is good. I like this. I can have the mix pretty high now, so the level of reverb pretty high, and it works. So the mod wheel, I always find that one a little bit tricky. So this is the modulation. So if I maximize it, now you can hear the modulation. Now that can kind of help you fatten up the sound. It sounds almost like you're being overdubbed. I'm actually going to save this one because I thought we did a good job there. So I'm going to hold this knob here. And I'm saving it. There we go. Pretty good. Now let's turn it down a little bit, and I'm gonna combine it with some digital delay. This is very subtle. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit so you can hear it. There you can hear it, right? So I think this is okay. Still would. What do you guys think? It's not very bright. Maybe we should. Maybe I should try adding just a little bit more treble. Pretty good. Now I'm going to try to add a little bit of distortion on the amp. Just a little bit, see. That can give us some more juice. Maybe turn down the... Oh, there's a bright switch. Let's try it. No, we needed that engaged. And let's try turning down the treble a little bit and maybe add the treble elsewhere in the chain. Then we can add more treble. I'm going to try to add tone on the wampler. Add a bit more distortion on the amp. That's pretty nice. Let's add a bit more of a feedback on the, so we get more of a tail on the delay there. So we have this now. I'm just hearing one delayed tap there. Let's try another one. That's almost, you can almost hear two there. Let's add, I'm gonna lower the effect level and increase the tail. Yeah, that's interesting. Can you hear the tail now? It's okay. We could try increasing the feedback or the tail. Hey there, Nathan. What's up, my man? Now, this is pretty playable now, and I think it has a decent balance between like warmth and fluidity and a little bit of edge to cut through. So I think this is approaching pretty usable for recording or whatever. I would like probably to have a go at checking out some more cabs, simply because it has such a major impact. And if we're lucky, we stumble upon something incredible, and yeah. I'm just tweaking the EQ first. Okay, we need the EQ there, clearly. Okay. Now the cab. So a lot of the low end just disappear there. I had found such a cool model. I'm gonna go back to it if we can't find something. Let's try one more. The sound cannot scoop martially. I don't know, some low end going on there. Very bright. Oh, this sounds so much like a Marshall kind of. Man, you can really hear the cab here. It sounds so organic. Now I have to go back and compare with the sound I had, which I can't remember which number was it, damn it. I think it was this one, number 17, my favorite so far. Simply because it had like an amp in the room kind of sound. Can you keep it down? I'm trying to sleep. I like it, Homer. Thank you, man. Radar has for sound card output so as not to use a cabinet like Universal. I didn't get that, El Quinto. Radar has for sound card output so as not to use cabinet like Universal. Yeah, universal audio is probably pretty good. Is that integrated into the sound card of the computer? That would probably be a step up, but this works for me. Yeah, can you boomer bend again? Okay. I'm gonna keep... I like this one. This one really sounded like a real cab to me. It says rectify T. Not the most playable one though. I'd use it rather for rhythm. It sounds really good though. So let's keep on going. Also very nice. This is more playable. So in general, when they're not super bright and you have some help in the lower mid-range, that's usually when I find them playable. Oh, here's some low end for you. I have to try to turn this one up. I don't know what you say. This is very playable, but it's really bass heavy. So what I could do is probably, now that I have this bass heavy sound, I could try to compensate for that in the rest of the chain and just basically add more brightness to create a good balance. That would pretty much give me that playability I'm looking for, while also not being overly dark. I'm going to compare with the other one I like. So that was number 17. So we have 17 and 27. This is more balanced, although it still has some low end to it. Whereas the 27 is totally just lots of low end. Man, that's dark. But again, if we could somehow brighten up the sound to an extreme point there. Oh, this is extremely playable. This is what I was looking for. So this almost plays itself. This wouldn't work in a mix. I think this sound is really just way too bass heavy, but it could be perfect for recording like short videos and a cappella stuff. So yeah, play Wonderwall. I mean, I could go into this to the cab and just see if maybe I can fix the low end a little bit, because it's extreme the way it is now. And there's also a presence knob which I could fiddle with. Can you guys even see this? I think you can. So we have the mic position and mic volume distance. So it is positioned in the edge. So I don't know where all the bass comes from. Maybe there's an EQ section here. No. I don't know why this is so bass heavy. The EQ is, I mean, there's no extra bass on the EQ section. There must be... Input to power amp is on. Let's try turning it. Yeah, so the power amp does a lot. It does give you some extra stuff there. That's interesting. Now I'm gonna boost the presence and see if that fixes it. I don't know. Let's not mess this one up. I mean, we did like it, so how can I just exit this? No. I don't want to save. How do I do? Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. So this is interesting. I think maybe I'm going to use this for some shorts I'm going to record today, hopefully. So yeah, Nathan, this is a Solar A1.6. You can't hear it because you can't see it because I've set the focus to be on the floor. Sorry about that. I don't know, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Sorry, man. Galileo, 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 Galileo. That's worth $2. Galileo Figaro. Oh, I think I lost my $2 there. So let's see here. Yeah, but this is pretty cool. Again, I want to emphasize this is very different from what we started out with. This is not usable in a mix. It's way too bass heavy, but it could be usable when doing shreddy a cappella stuff. So. You can see this is a really nice flow there. Okay, Nathan, have a good one. So, Caleb doesn't like my singing. Who would have thought? Hello from Turkey. Anonym. What's up, man? So I'm gonna tweak the cab a little bit more just to see if we can find wait, this says EQ there. No, that's just the master. So power amp. Let's try what did I do now? I'm gonna try a different tubes here in the power. EL34, pretty cool. 6V6, 6L6, EL84. So this is brighter, but it's a little bit too bright. I lost that warmth. EL34 was actually pretty good. I wonder if I'm going to change to EL34. This is a bit more balanced and not quite as boomy. So let's compare with what we had before. And now let's do the EL34 again. I might change to this. I solved the issue, I think. So from 6V6 to EL34s. This is nice. This is very good, I think. So, save. So I think I fixed the boomiest part, and I still managed to keep a little bit of that fluidity. I mean, it's still on the darker side. It's not so bright, but it's not as extreme. So now there are more things I could tweak. I should probably just show you, for the sake of transparency here, that I also have a attenuator connected, and that's how I do this. Otherwise, the real sound of the amp would saturate what you're hearing, but that's not happening now because I'm totally killing the speaker output thanks to my power attenuator. Now, similarly, the Mesa Boogie Mark V also offers like a 10 and 45 and 90 watt mode, and I'm using the 10 watt mode now. I'm also using something called variac power. If I had the normal power, pretty good, variac. I like this. It has a very compressed kind of character. Turn up the treble a little bit. I didn't like that. So this is good. Now what would be cool would probably be some reverb sparkle. Now I tried to solve the fluidity issue with the reverb, but now that we solved it with the cab sim, I could actually go back and try with a different reverb and see if we can instead get like a sparkly kind of tail instead. Now this is a little bit better. So again, just to clarify, I tried to solve an issue that I was experiencing with the sound with a reverb, but instead I managed to solve it with a speaker cab. So now I can go back and have a better suited reverb that doesn't give me warmth. Instead, it gives me a little bit more of a brighter and more natural tail, and that's exactly what I'm getting here. The difference isn't huge, but it's still an improvement. Cool. Do you know Pentagram, Turkish metal band? No, I don't. Sorry. I like the sound of this. Cool Pancakes. You like it? My uncle apparently has been watching you since you posted your first video, Caleb. That's amazing, man. Tell your uncle hello from me. Okay. So I'm going to have to end the stream now, as fun as it has been. I hope you got something out of this. This wasn't like, you know, touch one button, get a great sound. Rather, you could see me kind of fiddle around and you could hear my thinking as I was trying to fix different issues. I ended up with a sound that, again, isn't usable in a mix, but that works for me in terms of fluidity and while still retaining some dynamics and some organic sound. So I hope I'm now going to be able to record something cool with this, and you're going to see the result of that in the coming days on this channel if you check the shorts. And most importantly, I want to thank you for being around. And I'm going to see if you can see my face as I say goodbye to you. Hello there, here's my face. This is probably super crappy, but at least you can see a little bit of me. This is me, and I'm the one who's been playing all the time. You've been a fantastic, wonderful audience, and I've been Christopher Dull. Thank you so much. See ya. Cheers.